The vast expanse of the Harlan sector was littered with debris, remnants of ancient battles and abandoned starships that drifted like ghosts in the void. Among the wreckage of one such battle, a figure lay crumpled and broken. Her metallic limbs were twisted, circuits sparking erratically, and a faint pulse of energy barely kept her alive. She was unlike any machine seen in common spaceports. Her design was elegant, almost human, with delicate features that were a testament to craftsmanship lost to time. She had been shattered, abandoned in the cold emptiness, left to die. Milo, a human mechanic known for his skill and curiosity, piloted his small repair vessel along the periphery of the debris field. The sensors picked up the faint energy signature, almost imperceptible among the stronger readings of destroyed hulls. His brow furrowed as he approached. Whoever or whatever this was, it was alive. The shape that emerged from the drifting shadows was fragile and battered, wires hanging loose like broken veins. Milo's heart tightened at the sight. He docked his ship to a nearby fragment of hull, careful not to disturb the fragile mass further. The being's optical sensors flickered weakly as it detected his presence. Milo knelt beside her, his hands hovering over the damaged surfaces. He had seen many forms of life and machines alike, but something about her made him pause. There was a consciousness in those eyes, a flicker of awareness that cried out for help. Without hesitation, Milo activated the portable repair unit. He assessed the damage quickly, noting the shattered limb actuators, ruptured power conduits, and a destabilized core. The repair would not be simple. This was beyond standard maintenance. But Milo did not hesitate. Every tool he touched felt heavier than usual, as if the weight of her life rested in his hands. Hours passed as Milo worked tirelessly, welding, rewiring, and carefully recalibrating each circuit. Sparks flew and hissed in the vacuum of space, filtered through the maintenance chamber, but he ignored them. The being's chest plate had been pierced, exposing the core, which pulsed weakly, threatening to shut down at any moment. Milo knew that if he did not stabilize it soon, she would be lost forever. "You are not going to die on my watch," he muttered, voice barely audible over the hum of machinery. He fashioned a makeshift stabilizer for her core, improvising with components scavenged from the nearby wreckage. Sweat and oil coated his hands, but he did not stop. He had never met her before, and yet a connection had formed. It was the human drive to protect, to restore what was valuable, even if it was metal and circuitry. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the core stabilized. Her optical sensors brightened, and a faint mechanical hum indicated the return of basic functions. She stirred, her head turning slowly towards him, blinking in confusion. Her voice synthesizer crackled to life, a soft melodic tone that was hesitant and cautious. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling like a wind chime in a storm. "Milo," he replied simply. "I am a mechanic. You are safe now." Her gaze lingered on him, analyzing, computing, and perhaps even feeling something unfamiliar. Trust did not come easily to one left to die. But Milo's calm presence and the gentle steadiness of his hands conveyed more than words could. "You are human," she said after a long pause, as if stating a fact that both startled and reassured her. "Yes," he answered, "and I don't leave people behind." Days turned into nights as Milo continued the restoration. He worked on repairing her mobility systems, reconstructing her damaged limbs with care that bordered on artistry. Each joint had to be recalibrated, each wire aligned precisely. She observed quietly, occasionally asking questions about human tools and materials. In return, Milo asked about her origin, her purpose, but she remained vague. Hesitant to reveal her past. The bond between human and machine deepened. She began to move more fluidly, testing her restored limbs with tentative steps. Milo watched, offering guidance and encouragement. There was a rhythm to their work, a silent understanding that transcended words. He learned her quirks, her patterns, and even her subtle reactions to stimuli. She, in turn, learned to trust him, relying on his steady hands and clear judgment. One evening, as the artificial sun of the station reflected off her polished surfaces, she paused, looking at her own reflection in the metallic floor. Her systems were almost fully restored, yet she felt incomplete. "Why did you help me?" she asked softly. "I am not your responsibility." Milo wiped his hands on a rag, smiling faintly. Sometimes the right thing to do has nothing to do with responsibility. It's about choice. You could have been left to die, but I chose to give you a chance. Her optical sensors dimmed slightly, processing his words. For the first time, she considered the idea that humans acted not just out of necessity or logic, but out of empathy, a concept both foreign and fascinating to her dot as the repairs neared completion. Milo turned his attention to upgrading her defensive systems. She had been built for combat, yet she was vulnerable after the attack that had left her shattered. He carefully enhanced her armor plating, reinforced her energy shielding, and reconfigured her sensory arrays to prevent future ambushes. Each modification was subtle, maintaining her original elegance while improving resilience. When she finally stood fully upright, her form gleaming under the station lights, she tested her strength, moving with a grace and power that even Milo had not expected. He nodded approvingly, pride swelling within him. "You're ready," he said. She paused, scanning the station, the vastness beyond the windows, and then back at him. "Ready for what?" "To live," Milo answered simply. "To choose your path." For the first time since she had been shattered and abandoned, she felt a sense of possibility. She could leave, explore, or remain. The choice was hers. She realized that survival was no longer just a matter of mechanics and repairs. It was a matter of will and the kindness of another days later. Milo helped her onto a refurbished ship. Together, they inspected every system, ensuring her readiness for the journey ahead. She moved with precision, testing controls, confirming functionality, and even laughing softly when minor glitches were detected and swiftly corrected. The sound was unusual, almost human, and Milo felt a warmth in his chest that he had not expected. "You will make it," he said, placing a hand on the console beside her. "And you will remember that not all humans leave behind those in need." She looked at him, her gaze steady and sincere. "I will remember," she said, "and I will not forget you." As the engines roared to life and the ship lifted from the station, Milo watched her departure with a sense of accomplishment that went beyond mechanical skill. He had breathed life into what many would have discarded, and in doing so, he had rekindled something ancient and profound. Hope. She navigated through the debris field with a grace that only someone rebuilt with care could achieve. Milo tracked her progress from his station, observing as she vanished into the distant stars. Yet even as she departed, a connection remained, unspoken but unbroken. She was no longer merely a machine. She had become something greater because a human had chosen to save her. Time passed, and news traveled through the sector of a mysterious figure, a powerful yet benevolent presence among the scattered civilizations of abandoned worlds. Some called her a savior, others a guardian, but all recognized the change. The human touch had transformed her existence, proving that humanity's ingenuity and empathy could shape even the coldest of metal hearts. Milo returned to his workshop, continuing his work on other machines and vessels, yet he often thought of her. He knew she was out there, alive and free, and he took solace in that. For a mechanic, there was satisfaction in repair, but for Milo, there was joy in restoration of life itself. Years later, in a remote sector, she would encounter other beings in peril, and each time she acted with precision and compassion. She carried the lessons of a human mechanic who had refused to leave her to die, and in doing so, she spread the quiet, enduring influence of humanity across the stars. Shattered and left to die, she had been given a second chance. A human mechanic had breathed new life into her, not merely through skill, but through choice, care, and an unwavering belief in what others deemed impossible. She had been transformed, not only in body but in spirit, becoming a symbol of hope in a universe often defined by decay and destruction. In the end, it was not the technology, the circuits, or the machinery that mattered most. It was the humanity that had restored her, proving once again that even in the cold void of space, the human heart could leave an indelible mark, shaping destinies far beyond its own reach. And among the stars, her journey had only just begun.